송인영님, 네, 알아들어오세요. 이번 공간은 외래에서 지하 1층 내려가시면 일반 복장소 외과 있어요. 거기다 예약해 주시면 돼요. 여성센터 내려가시면.
emerges. Emerge. Move out of or away from something and become visible. Like ravens emerged from the fog, become apparent. emotions emerge. The car emerges from the tunnel onto the golden gate bridge. Golden Gate Bridge. The car emerges from a tunnel onto the Golden Gate Bridge. Willie sleeps in the backseat. The car zips around the mountain curve down a desert highway. Willie looks out the back window. The car emerges from a tunnel onto a Golden Gate Bridge. Emerge. The car drives across the bridge. Willie looks out the window. Willie looks out the window. The car drives across the bridge. Hey, look, the Golden Gate Bridge. Isn't that great? Hey, look, the Golden Gate Bridge. Isn't that great? It's not made out of solid gold like we thought, which is kind of disappointed. Golden Gate Bridge. Isn't that great? It's not made out of the solid gold, which like we thought. It's not made out of solid gold like we thought. It's not made out of solid gold like we thought. It's not made out of solid gold like we thought. It's not made out of solid gold. It's not made out of solid gold. It's not made out of solid gold. It's not made out of solid gold like we thought, which is kind of disappointed. Which is kind of a disappointment. 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 But still, the car drives past the ferry building. The car drives past the ferry building.
내일까지 남아있잖아요. 바슬린을 한번 바르면 다음 날까지.
남아있지, 씻어내기 전까지는. 물론 흡수가 거의 다 돼버리긴 하는 것 같더라.
주시죠 바셀린. 제가 바를 테니.
응. The car drives past the ferry building. The car passes cornfields and
바셀린은 먹어도 되죠?
바셀린? 먹으면 안 될 것 같은데?
제가 살짝씩 삼키는데. 네?
그래, 그건 어쩔 수 없는 것 같아.
그러면 죽어요?
안 죽어.
그러면 먹어도 돼요?
아니, 먹는 건 아니야.
뭘 방금 무슨 소리를 하는 거야?
The car drives past the ferry building.
아, 물감을 해야 되는데.
I'm sure. I'm glad you told
그건
me
하세요 엄마.
earthquakes are
엄마.
a myth. 어? 뭐?
아하. Magic tree. House tree. 잠깐만요. 제 친구한테 답장이 왔나 좀 볼게요.
I'm sure I'm glad. I sure am glad you told me earthquakes are a myth. Joy. myth? myth는 신화란 뜻인가?
그거 막 도시 전설 같은 거 아닙니까?
MYTH. A traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining a natural or social phenomenon and typically involving supernatural beings or events. 신화가 맞는 것 같군요. I sure am glad you told me earthquakes are a myth, Joy. Otherwise, I would be terrified right now. Everyone eyes each other behind the fierce back. Yes. eyes. 오호, 아이가 동사로 쓸 때가 있어요. I. E-Y-E. Look at closely or with interest. Rose eyed him warily. 아이가 동사로 쓸 때가 있군요. Everyone eyes each other behind a fierce back. I sure am glad you told me earthquakes are a myth. Joy. I sure am glad you told me earthquakes are a myth. Joy. Otherwise, I'd be terrified right now. Isra, what are you doing?
자, 이제 읽어주시죠.
아이고.
내가 옷을 벗고.
I sure am glad you told me earthquakes are a myth. Otherwise,
읽어주시죠.
I'd be terrified right now.
읽어. 주시죠.
지금부터는 막내 아들의 동화책 읽어주는 것으로 영어 공부를 대체하겠습니다.
촬영하고 있어요?
응. 녹음 중이야. 건드리지 마.
알았어.
이거 표시해놓은 거 어디로 갔지? 내가 표시해놨을 텐데.
네, 제 핸드폰으로 해놨었죠.
What a novel idea. 자, 어디지? 엄마는 무려 28분을 읽어야 돼. 너는 듣다가 자라. Annie, said Jack. He shook his head. It would be impossible to explain their trip to Baghdad. That trip had happened more than 1,000 years after this time in history. My sister has a big imagination, he said. So it would seem, said Aristotle. Her ideas about the universe are completely wrong. Of course, but I am astonished that she has a theory. Why? Asked Annie. I did not think that girl had the ability to think about such things, said Aristotle. Annie looked at Jack. He's kidding, right? She said. Jack laughed nervously. Well, no, he said. That's what people thought a long time ago. Scowling, Annie started to say something, but Aristotle smiled at her. You must be a very special kind of girl. Come, let us walk and talk, and you can show me what big thinkers you both are. Jack and Annie fell into step with the philosopher as he started across the square. Besides contemplating the universe, what else do you think about? Aristotle asked Annie. I think a lot about animals, she said. Wonderful. Animals always reveal to us something natural and beautiful, said.
뭐라고 생각한 거예요? 뭐라고 말했어요?
뭐? 방금 전에 다시 읽어달라고?
네. 아니 그 뜻을 말해요.
Animals always reveals to us something natural and beautiful. 동물들은 항상 reveal, 드러낸다. 우리들에게 뭔가 natural 하고 beautiful한 걸, said Aristotle. So you study them? I do study them. 거꾸로 말했네. So you study them? I do study them, Annie said. But more than that, I fall in love with them. I think that's the way I really learn. Oh, very good, said Aristotle. To truly educate your mind, you must also educate your heart. And where does your heart lead you, Jack? Do you prefer a life of sports? Military training? Jack shook his head. I'm not super great at sports, he said, or military training, but I'm good at doing research. I take notes on everything. Jack found it surprisingly easy to talk with a philosopher. I love learning about the rainforests and the deep sea and the moon. I love learning about everything, really. Me too, said Annie. Indeed, said Aristotle. You both are remarkable. Jack shrugged. Not really. I guess we just kind of know ourselves. So it would seem, Aristotle said. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The more Jack and I learn about the world, the more we learn about ourselves, said Annie. We are always trying new stuff. Yeah, even if we make fools of ourselves sometimes, said Jack, especially me. Aristotle chuckled. I think we should all dare to make fools of ourselves again and again. He said. Anyone who fears looking like a fool must say nothing, do nothing, and be nothing. So it would seem, said Annie. May I ask, why have you come to Macedonia? Said Aristotle. Does your visit have a purpose? It does, said Jack with a laugh. He was enjoying talking to Aristotle so much that he'd forgotten their mission. Actually, we are looking for Alexander the Great. Do you know him? Asked Annie. I know a prince named Alexander, the son of King Philip, said Aristotle. That's him, said Annie. But I must say I would not call him great yet, said Aristotle. He's only 12 years old. 12? said Jack.
몇 살이에요, 저는?
12살.
그러면 저 친구들보다
몇
더
살?
어린 거 아니야?
여슬아,
응.
영어로 20까지 세봐.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
13.
13, 14, 15, 19,
16.
18.
숫자도 못 세,
17.
여슬아?
응.
어휴, 내 동생을 일을 어떻게 하고 줬으니 대체 이거. 12도 모르고 말이야, 영어를.
그쪽 맞지?
그렇게 들었으면서.
Yes, Alexander is the reason I too have come to Macedonia, said Aristotle. When the prince turns 13 in a few weeks, I will become his tutor. Why are you looking for him? We'd love to spend some time with him, said Annie. We heard he was, great. Aristotle sighed. The prince would certainly wish you to think so.
속을 졸래.
The prince would certainly wish
옷을 입어라.
you to think so, he said. Well, if you want to meet him,
아이고.
King Philip is having a gathering at the royal house this afternoon. It is close by. Aristotle pointed to the mansion on the hill above the square. The prince will be in attendance. Would you like to go with me? Yes, Jack and Annie said together. Good. Then let us climb the hill, said the philosopher, and he started up a pebbled path that led to the royal house. Jack and Annie followed, grinning at each other. This is fantastic, Jack said softly. Maybe our mission will be easier than I thought. When they reached the top of the hill, Jack was surprised by the plainness of the royal house. It looked like a big white box with a tiled roof and simple columns. 2 guards in crested helmets stood like statues by the entrance. Each held a giant shield decorated with a star. Please wait outside, said Aristotle. I must alert the king that I have brought guests to his gathering, and that one of them is a girl. Why? asked Annie. No girls allowed? I fear females are never allowed to attend such events, said Aristotle. But I imagine the king has never met a girl like you before. Thanks, said Annie. I think, after Aristotle left, she turned to Jack. What is wrong with all the men in history? Nearly everywhere we go in the treehouse, girls aren't allowed to do any of the fun stuff. I know it's crazy, said Jack, but stay calm. Remember, the king's ferocious fighter.
왕이 싸움을 잘한다는 게 아니잖아.
Yeah, well, Annie held up her fist. We have magic that could make me a great fighter, too, she said. Don't even think about it, said Jack, glancing at the guards. Annie lowered her fist. Aren't you surprised that Alexander's only 12? She said. At home, he'd be just a 6th or 7th grader. I know. How great can he be? said Jack. He pulled out their book.
쟤네 몇 살이에요, 쟤네는?
몰라. Looked up Alexander's childhood in the index, with his back to the guards. Jack read in a soft voice. Young Alexander was raised in the manner of noble youths. From an early age, he received military training and became an excellent swordman,
알렉산더 대왕?
spear thrower, and chariot driver. He was a champion athlete and excelled in all sports. Oh man, said Jack. He sounds like Superman. Aristotle's bag, whispered Annie. Jack slipped the book into his bag. The king has granted his permission, Aristotle said, looking at Annie. You may both come inside. Hooray, said Annie. Then she and Jack followed the philosopher into the royal house. Chapter 4.
왜 이건데 왜 말이 나왔을까?
어디서 말이 나오려나 보지? The one-eyed king. The front hallway was dark and cool. The flickering flames of oil lamps cast shadows on wall murals. The murals showed figures from Greek myths. Zeus. And whispered to Jack. Zeus라고 읽어?
네.
어디서 들어본 적 있어? Zeus. And whispered to Jack, pointing to a painting of the ruler of all the Greek gods. Pointing.
The gods are fakes라고 하면 바로 사형이겠지?
응?
The gods are fakes이라고 하면 바로 사형이겠지?
그런가? Centaurus, whispered Jack, pointing to creatures that were half man and half horse. Centaurus야? This way.
그냥 한국말 발음으로 한 거예요.
This way, said Aristotle. Jack and Annie followed the philosopher through the hall to an open courtyard. Women in long white dresses were grilling meat over a fire and pulling
돌고
bread
있을까 지구는?
from a clay oven.
얼마나 빠르게 돌고 있을까요 지구는?
엄청나게 빨리 돌고 있어, 지금 사실은.
얼마나 빨리요? 시속?
하여튼
시속으로 우리가 할 수가 있잖아요. 얼마나 많이 도는지.
근데 그 수치는 잊어버렸는데 엄청 빨리 돈다는 것만 엄마가 알고 있어. 근데 우리는 왜 그걸 못 느끼고 있을까?
같이 놀고 있으니까.
이해가 가? 하나 우리 비행기 타고 갔지. 비행기 엄청 빠른 속도로 갔지. 그렇지만 우리는 그 안에 그 안에 있으니까 그 안에서만 있으면 모든 것이 정지해 있는 것 같지. 그런 식이야, 이 사람. 신기하지?
밖에서 보면 도는 게 보이나? 네?
글쎄. They glanced at Annie with curiosity. Aristotle led them past the cooks to a doorway of the courtyard. 다시 한 번만 이거 좀 읽을게. Aristotle led them past the cooks to a doorway of the courtyard.
안 돼! 파셀린이 다 들어있다.
The sounds of loud conversation came from the room beyond. 어디서 무슨 소리 들리지?
장정 소리.
아, 그런 거야?
그냥 누구 소리인 줄 알았는데.
어디 남의 집에서 들리는 줄 알았어?
남의 집에서 이렇게 크게 날 리가 없잖아요.
아, 뭘 조그맣게 들리잖아. King Philip has gathered the men of his most elite cavalry, said Aristotle. They are known as the king's companions. Do not be startled when you look upon the king. Years ago he lost an eye in battle. Oh, said Annie, winking.
외눈박이.
winking. 아, winking인가 보다.
외눈박이가 사이클롭스.
사이클롭스?
뭔지 알아요?
몰라.
사이클롭스는 외눈박이라고 하면 바로 사람들이 아마 떠올릴 괴물입니다.
그래?
외눈박이의 그냥 오크 같은 형태를 띠고 있는 사이클.
Even so, he is still the greatest military leader in the known world, said Aristotle. Jack nodded. He took a deep breath. Prince Alexander will be arriving soon, said the philosopher. Come. Then he led Jack and Annie into the spacious, lamp-lit room. The king's companions lay on couches, propped up on their elbows or on pillows. They were talking and eating. King Philip was on a couch draped in purple silk. He had a black patch over one eye. Two bodyguards with curved swords
칼스가 어떻게 생겼는지 대충 예상이 돼.
hanging from their belt stood nearby. When the king and his men caught sight of Jack and Annie and Aristotle, they fell silent. King Philip II of Macedonia, Aristotle said, bowing. Jack and Annie bowed also. I have just met these two very learned young people today, said Aristotle. They are Jack and his sister Annie of Frog Creek, a land west of Greece. Hi, said Annie with a smile. Jack smiled too.
하이라고 해 왕한테?
As he
존댓말이 여기도 없었나?
looked around at the warriors. No one smiled back, including
헬로우라고 해야 되는 거 아니에요?
King Philip
하이가 아니라?
of Macedonia. Sit, the king ordered. Jack and Annie sat together on an empty couch. Aristotle sat nearby. Three servants quickly appeared. The king's companions resumed their eating and talking as a servant removed Jack's sandals. She rinsed his dust-covered feet in a tub of warm water. Jack kept his eyes down, not sure what to do or say. Next, the servants delivered small dishes of food to them. Jack identified olives, cheese, purple grapes, nuts, figs, and then there was something that
난방.
looked like dead bugs. 뭐야? 난방 켠 거야?
예.
No.
26도로? 목표
25도.
그래? 그게 적당해?
26도.
어디가 난방 안 하고 잤는가?
이봐. 출근할 때 난방 끄셔 좀.
내가 일어나면 내려버릴게. And then there was something that looked like dead bugs. Annie caught Jack's eye. Grasshoppers? She whispered, wrinkling her nose. Eat the grapes, he whispered back. Jack and Annie silently ate grapes as the king's companions feasted and talked with
약간 이런 거
Aristotle.
예민하잖아요.
응?
막 사람이랑 같이 대화가 있는데
어.
뭔가 음식이 나오면 다 먹어야 될 것 같잖아요. 만약에 내가 싫어하는 게 나오면은 좀 그렇잖아요. 거기서 dead bugs가 나왔다고 하니까 많이 좀 왕인데 좀 안 먹으면 바로 내 음식을 안 먹고 사형 이럴 수도 있잖아요.
그건 아닐 것 같은데.
그랬다고 하잖아요, 실제로.
The king was telling a story about a stallion that had been taken captive. 뭔 말인지 모르겠네. Not until the dishes were cleared away did King Philip turn his gaze on Jack and Annie. Silence, the king ordered his men. It is time now to hear from our esteemed visitors. esteemed는 뭐야? Whomever Aristotle admires. I admire also. Jack nearly choked on a grape.
내가 뭐예요?
거의 포도로 숨이 막힐 뻔했대. 그 말을 듣고. Aristotle tells us you have studied and learned much, both of you. The king said, looking at Annie.
이러면 원래
Is that
부담감이
true?
1100배가 올라가요 바로.
Before Annie could answer, a boy burst into the room. He was fair-haired and muscular. He wore a purple cloak over his tunic. Can you guess who he is? He strode to the center of the room,
난 바로 알 것 같은데 누군지.
tossed back his cloak, and bowed.
뭐야?
I greet you all, the boy declared. At last I have arrived. Hail, Prince Alexander, the men said in unison. Alexander the Great, Jack thought. Prince Alexander started to speak, but to Jack's surprise, the king snapped at him. Quiet, boy, sit down. The smile left the prince's face, but he obeyed and sat on a couch near his father.
벤치가 얼마나 많이 있는 거야?
Aristotle leaned forward and spoke kindly to Alexander. My prince, he said, when you entered, we were about to hear from two learned young people from Frog Creek, a land west of Greece. They have come here expressly to meet you. This is Jack and his sister Annie. I see, said
잠깐만. 일단은 먼저 이 사람들이 짚어야 되는 게 이게 뭐지? 뭐
안경.
해야 되지 않을까요?
글쎄 말이야.
아니 이 시대에 안경이
I
있었나?
see, said Alexander, puffing out his chest. He gave Jack and Annie a superior smile. Well then, small visitors, please share with us your great knowledge.
몰라.
Is this kid serious? Jack wondered. Who does he think he is? I will share, Annie picked out. Recently, we learned a lot about a rare kind of bear called a panda bear. Panda bear?
안 돼. 그런 무참한 얘기를 왕한테 하다니. 할 거면 그냥 태양 얘기나 해주지.
Said the
저런,
prince with
저런.
a smirk.
안 좋은 얘기를 하다니.
Yeah, 너무 하찮은 얘기 같아?
네. 무엄하다 왕한테 감히 판다고 얘기를 하다니.
하지만 이 사람들은 판다고 뭔지 모를 수도 있잖아. Yes, but don't confuse pandas with other bears, like polar bears or grizzly bears, said Annie. Pandas live in China. Polar bears live in the Arctic. That's right.
애초에
said
저때
Jack.
차이나가 있긴 있었나? 저 시대에?
China?
네, 저때
차이나라고는 통일된 나라가 없을지도 모르지. 여러 나라로 쪼개져 있었을 것 같은데.
그래서 그 당시에 차이나는 그러니까 중국이라는 건 한 나라가 아니야 연합체지. 그러니까 중국은 그냥 땅땡이 이름이요.
Clearing his throat. They are very heavy polar bears, but they can move over thin sheets of ice. They balance their weight and slide on their paws. Like this, said Annie. She held out her arms and moved as if she were sliding over ice.
야,
She
왕한테 아무런 부담감 없이 그냥
그러니까
얘기하는.
얘네들 대단하네. And the king and his companions laughed with her. How wondrous! The king exclaimed to Aristotle. Yes, indeed, said the philosopher. The prince, though, looked bored. And then there are koala bears, said Jack.
아니, 동물지시에 그 당에 그 태양이 지구의 중심이란 얘기부터 좀 하라고.
아니 근데 그런 걸 증명할 방법이 없어서 안 믿을 것 같아.
그러면 다른 거 증명할 방법이 있어요?
Enough about bears, Alexander said rudely. Let us talk about the lion hunt I recently went on. Not now, the king snapped. He looked at Jack. I want to hear more about the bears. Jack cleared his throat. Actually, koala bears are not bears at all, he said. He was eager to show off his knowledge in front of the prince. They are marsupials. A kangaroo is a marsupial too. Kangaroos? Alexander said in a mocking voice. Marsupials? Kangaroos are as tall as a person, said Annie, but they hop like frogs. They can box too, like this. Facing Alexander, she punched the air with her fists. 아야, 아파.
진짜 아파요.
The prince automatically ducked, making the king's companions laugh. The king laughed loudest. How foolish she is, the prince growled. Quiet, Alexander, do not be angry, said his father. Go on, tell us more, he said to Jack and Annie. Do you honor the Greek gods as we do? I'm not sure what you mean by honor, said Annie, but we actually met Hercules in Pompeii. Pegasus saved us at the Greek Olympics. They are favorites of
그거를 얘기하면
ours.
어떡해. 빠가야.
The man looked confused. What? Said the king. What I mean, Annie said quickly, is that we believe in the power of the imagination and the power of ancient stories. By reading about Hercules and Pegasus, we feel like we know them.
나라면 이렇게
Right.
했을 것 같아.
And they are
믿습니다.
constellations,
네 엄마? 믿습니다라고 뭐 얘기하는 거 아니야? 신 얘기라는데?
said Jack. So if you look at the stars in the night sky, you will see that the old stories are always with us. We are never alone. Jack glanced around the room. The king and his companion were smiling and nodding. Only the prince looked unhappy. Thank you, Jack. Those are wise words, said Aristotle. Yes, indeed, said the king. Aristotle, your young friends are truly amazing. Alexander, you would do well to learn from these two. Learn what? Alexander asked. Can this boy mount a chariot moving at full speed? Can he throw a spear farther than a grown man? Can he hunt a lion? No, and he never will, Annie said. 한 시간 채워줬을 것 같은데.
조금만 더. 엄마, 마미, please, 조금만 더. 마미.
딱 한 시간.
자, 이제 불 끄자.
She smiled at the prince. But Jack's great at writing. He takes notes and he writes his own stories. Ah, said Alexander. He sprang to his feet. Forgive my rudeness, he said to Jack. I would like to talk with you alone. Perhaps you can help me.
갑자기 왜 저래?
Uh-oh, thought Jack. The prince looked at his father. May we go? Please say no, thought Jack. Alexander made him nervous, but King Philip nodded. We hate to lose your company, he said to Jack, but it would be good for you to counsel my son. Yes, indeed, come with me. Small visitors from Frog Creek, said Alexander, beckoning to Jack and Annie. Jack glanced at Aristotle. The philosopher looked nervous too, but he smiled encouragingly and nodded, as if to say, be brave. Dare again to make fools of yourselves.
나라면 그 병을 바로 사용했을 것 같아.
자, 이제
나에게
자자.
이 세상을 다.
챕터 5 읽을 차례야. 이제 방에 불을 끕시다.
짜잔.